Go.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.
Coming to you from the land of cricket and barbecue, Lone Stars and Longhorns, this is All In Colts, presented by the Unstable Blues.
Welcome back in. It's time again for the Unstable Pick 6. We'll take turns with our predictions of 6 high-profile games around the NFL, including a couple from the AFC South. So, let's go. All In Colts.
I'm Kevin. This is my son Liam, and we are the Unstable Blues. Happy to present All In Colts as a part of Rogue Media Sports Network.
Yep, and as always, we want you to be a part of this. So comment your picks before Thursday Night Football. So, of course, you don't cheat. And if you get them all right, we'll shout you out on next week's 6 picks.
Yes, a couple Monday Night Football firsts. Congratulations for the first ever career interception by Damar Hamlin.
Yep, the man who died on the field.
Yeah, meanwhile, the other game was going on that very same field.
Mm-hmm, true. And then also congratulations to Jaden Daniels on his first ever career touchdown pass to offensive lineman Trent Scott.
Yep, that's going to be a trivia question at some point down the line. When you are old, you can impress your children and grandchildren by knowing that one and bringing up how we used to do this, and they'll be like, what? You were famous? And you'll be like, nah, not really, but it'll be your cool moment, you know?
Exactly.
Like I was in a band one time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was too, so.
That's true. That is true.
I don't know if I've told you this, but this is off topic already.
All right.
I got invited to another band as well.
Did you?
To help start it up. It's it'll be Nick playing piano. One of my friends, Braylon, would be doing guitar or drums or something. And my youth group leader, Gavin, would be playing acoustic, and then I would be singing. So, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about
the
this.
choices for you. I like you didn't
Singing
follow my musical instrument footsteps, so it would be like you either sing, play the tambourine, or the spoons, or the mouth harp, or know.
I could play saxophone.
That's true. That's true. You did play the clarinet. Is closely related.
It is. Yeah. You just add like 2 or 3 extra buttons.
Yeah, perfect.
It's
aren't they called keys?
Yeah, but keys. I mean, a lot of people call them holes because you cover the hole. But these, I call them holes, and then there's some on the clarinet where you have to press a button to cover a hole. So I just called them buttons then.
All right.
I don't know.
How did we get from NFL predictions to clarinet? I don't know.
No clue.
I mean,
welcome to All In Colts. Exactly. It just happens sometimes.
As always, before we make this week's picks, we have to take a look at last week's to see how we did. So, go ahead and start us off here.
Yeah. So we picked Eagles at Saints. We both went Saints and both did not get that one.
Yeah, they failed in a big way. That whole offense was like going great, and then all of a sudden got held 12 points against the Eagles. Apparently, the Eagles
he dropped a wide open breadbasket pass into the end zone. I'm like, Derek Carr could not have placed that anywhere else that was more perfect, and you just dropped the ball. 0 fantasy points. So frustrating.
Thanks.
Not a fantasy episode. But
it's really, really frustrating because I had just picked him up because he's been consistent.
Same here.
I was waiting because he's been hit or miss over the past a little bit, a few seasons, whatever. I was like, okay, I want to see some consistency, and week 3, that's it. Had 2 great games. All right, let's do this. Zilch. Failed me.
Yep.
We both had Houston beating the Vikings, and that did not happen.
But in a way, I'm happy about it because,
to be fair,
we got a win. They lost. We caught up a game.
Yes, from a Colts perspective, anytime Houston loses is a good thing. I was even talking to a Titans fan today, and the one thing that we could agree upon was anytime Houston loses, that's a good day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you remember, I did not go back and splice this out or anything. So if you don't believe me, you can go back and look at last week's episode. I said there was some doubt whether Justin Jefferson was going to be back available. I said if he's in there, I think it's going to go Vikings, but I didn't know if he was going to make it, and so that meant I was going to go with Houston. So I kind of made it. I kind of got it right.
Does not
still kind of lost because what is written down and what I picked is eternal, and so if it's on the internet, it's forever.
Yep, exactly. The next game that we picked was the Chargers in Pittsburgh playing the Steelers. We both had Chargers. Both lost that one too. Kind of frustrating. Justin Herbert went down. I feel like if they had Justin, it would have been a lot closer than it was. Not necessarily a win, but I mean, it would have been a lot closer of a game. And I would have. I mean, I know you're always on the boat that's like, yeah, okay, we want to face a team right after they won, right? But I mean, I don't know. I feel like I try to get even with people, like even records and everything like that. Especially like a team like the Steelers, because they're, a solid 9-8 team. So as long as you can get around that, then, I mean, you have a chance at the playoffs. So my thought was, okay, Steelers lose this game, and then they can lose to us, and then we're tied 2-2. That's kind of my thought with that type of stuff.
I got you. I mean, we'll talk about more of that coming up in our preview episode at the end of the week as the Colts play the Steelers this week. Justin Herbert, he was a game-time decision. Turns out that might have been the wrong decision because now next week, and I believe we're going to pick this game a little bit later, the Chargers have the Chiefs now, and that might be entirely without Justin Herbert now because he re-aggravated the high ankle sprain.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. It's bad enough to have a high ankle sprain, let alone you re-aggravate it, and then you got to play, the top contender in the division rival next. So
exactly.
That makes a couple teams now that are on the hunt for another quarterback and or maybe a quarterback controversy like the Steelers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of push now for Justin Fields to be the
guy.
QB1 now. I mean,
from what I see, it looks. I mean, he looks good.
He hasn't lost.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 3-0. So.
Yep.
You
can't argue with that
so far. Yep.
The next game we picked, I had the Seahawks.
And I had the Dolphins, and that was kind of tragic, honestly.
The Dolphins, of course, without Tua. You knew that going into it. There was no mystery. You picked them anyway. And but now the Seahawks are 3-0, having beaten the Patriots in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos, who are questionable,
and the banged-up Dolphins.
The Dolphins without their main quarterback.
And not only did they not have their main quarterback, their second string got injured during the game as well.
Right.
So
the Dolphins are another needy quarterback team. Might talk about that a little bit later. I think they're in this week as well. Next one.
Yeah. Next game was the Chiefs at Falcons. I chose the Falcons.
and I picked the Chiefs.
And
I got that one.
Yeah, you got that one.
It was
a
close.
lot of people have stuff to talk about, and I'm like, I don't talk about the refs anymore. I've stopped talking because no matter how much you talk, it won't change.
It won't change.
There was the
and
obvious pass
the
interference.
one reason that they talk about it is because it's the Chiefs.
Yep.
Is it any worse or any better than any of the other games? Nobody talks about the punt block that wasn't a block apparently for the Colts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or in the first game where AR got thrown on his head and his helmet popped up, and apparently that wasn't roughing the passer, even though several people, including QB School, shout out to them, love their stuff. JT O'Sullivan was like, wait, surely that's a penalty. That wasn't a penalty. Nobody talks about that because it's just the Colts. But when it's the Chiefs, we talk about it because it's the Chiefs.
Yep. And I mean, I'm not going to dive too much into it about it, but I think me personally, I believe it was a pass interference. If you're going to call the thing that you called against the Bengals against the Chiefs, you have to call that. It is same scenario. He's not looking at the ball and he is tackling the guy. Straight up just tackling him while he's in midair, not looking at the ball whatsoever. So he didn't know if the ball's in the area. It just happened to kind of be in the area, not really. It hit the Chiefs defender. Like, I think to me that's an obvious pass interference. I think that the Falcons get the touchdown also because it's 1st and goal from the 1 then.
Yeah.
But it's out of hands.
Did you hear what Raheem Morris, the coach of the Falcons, said in his post game?
Oh, I like my money.
Yeah, he was like, "So do you think it was pass interference?" He said, "I like my money." And then they didn't get fined.
And then they were like, "Well, you don't have to get fined for that." And he was like, "Yes, yeah. You talk about the officials, you get fined."
Right. And in so doing, you knew exactly what he thought. He didn't say anything,
and he's not going to get fined for it.
Right.
Yep.
He's like, did his best Marshawn Lynch. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Mm-hmm. Yep. In the last game.
Yep. The last game was on Monday night. One of those games. It was the doubleheader, the first doubleheader of the season in Monday Night Football. I think there's going to be 3 total, and the next one happens next week as well. So, Jaguars at the Bills. We both had the Bills, and we chose the best Josh Allen and the best quarterback playing by far that night.
I wish we had a clip of this too. I said if Josh Allen gets rolling, it's not going to be pretty for the Jaguars at all. The Bills are going to wipe the floor with them.
And you would think with that wide a margin, like Trevor Lawrence was just throwing it away, fumbling the ball. They had 1 pick and 1 fumble. Now, that's still a turnover of 2-0, which you know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
But that score is not representative of a turnover battle that is 2-0.
That's just a lot of punts, 3 and outs.
That is one team absolutely imposing their will upon the other.
Yep. Exactly.
And there's one reason. It's no mystery why one team is 3-0 and the other one is 0-3.
Yep. Aren't the Titans 0-3 as well?
That is correct, sir. Okay. Which we will talk more about tomorrow in our update from the South. Got that coming up. But we will have no outlier pick because 2 AFC South teams play each other. So we can put all the AFC South games in this week. But before we get to that, what's the record so far right now?
I am 7-Eleven, the gas station. Yep.
Yeah.
You can come to me on September 11th. Wait. Wrong 11. My bad.
That's that?
September, August.
Ooh.
Is that July? July 11th?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
July. Come to me on July 11th and get some sleep. He's not 9/11.
No. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Much better. It's
Anyways.
the day after your sister's birthday. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We large family. We love 7-Eleven Day because you get something free. Anytime there's something free, our family will be there.
Sounds all like a college kid. Anytime I hear something free, I'm like, where? And then if it's food, I'm like, it's like double the intensity. Where's the food?
Yes.
I need it.
Yes. I am 9-9, so I'm still at 500. I eked out a couple in our differing games. So
you did.
Yay.
Yeah.
It was tough to decide this week's games. I like to highlight the uniform differences, but those didn't make the cut. The Falcons are going to be wearing their red throwback helmet against the Saints.
Mm-hmm. And the Browns will be in their all whites on the road game against the Raiders. And the reason why we don't pick uniforms is because I think we go for better games, harder games for us to choose.
Yeah.
High profile games. And I mean, it's not like these games wouldn't be good games. I feel like they actually would be good games, but I think just the other games, like it was just hard to narrow them down, honestly.
Yep. It was, some decent matchups. Yeah. And so I like to keep track of the uniforms just because of the phrase, look good, play good. And I would like to see if
look good, feel
really
good,
true.
play good.
Yep.
I can tell you from experience. Oh, it definitely is true.
Yeah. Okay. Even though you can't see yourself at all while you're playing.
No, but I remember my junior year, we had like the red pennies, or we had pennies on that we were using as jerseys for like scrimmages and stuff, and then we got our actual jerseys whenever it came game time, and they purposely didn't let us wear them during the scrimmages because they wanted to save them for the season. So we saved them, obviously. And I remember that first game. I think it was it was in Vanguard. It was against Vanguard. So it was technically an away game, but it was 10 minutes from the school.
Local, yeah.
So, and the crowds were like filled to the brim, and these are big stadiums because this is like a 4A school. They converted to 11-man this past year.
Same school that Danny and Tomlinson went to.
Yeah, LT went to this school.
Yeah.
But we ended up winning in front of I'd say it's probably about 300 people, something like that, which is probably the biggest crowd I've ever played for.
Yeah.
And it was, and I knew that the jerseys looked good because we all like put them on all over pads, put the pants on and everything, and then we stood in front of the mirror like, oh my goodness. And they did the helmets for us as well that week. So we had fresh, new everything. I remember I had a new mouth guard specifically for that. And then I wore my gloves for the first time, even though I took them off after the first drive. And then I knew I looked good, so I felt good about myself, and therefore I played good. So
yeah, you did. Well, so instead of the uniforms, we decided to go, in addition to our 2 AFC South games, the undefeated teams. Until further notice, we're just going to keep track of who's undefeated. So right now,
okay, real quick before we go
on 3-0. Yeah.
Yes, before we go anywhere else, there was a question thrown out there. Sam Darnold MVP runner. Not necessarily front runner, but a candidate.
We're 3 weeks into the season.
I know, but it's never too early to say that.
We're 3 weeks into the season. Settle down. Everyone just calm down. We're 3 weeks. Like, if you talk to anyone in the NFL, they will tell you that the teams do not even know their true identities yet. You don't really have a good feel for what your team is until week 4 or 5. We're not there yet. So just because you have early success or early failure does not define your entire season. If you had the choice to win the first 3 games or the last 3 games and still make the playoffs? Either make the playoffs either way. Do you want to win the first 3 games or win the last 3 games? I'm not saying what the end of the season is like, but you make your choice. You want to win the first 3, you want to win the last 3?
I mean, obviously you want to win the last 3 because you're going into the playoffs on a high note. So
exactly. So not saying that these matter any less because every game matters. Yeah. But just because you're 3-0 does not mean that you're going to be 17-0. Just because you're 0-3 does not mean you're going to be 0-17. Now, there's a decreased possibility whenever you are up against it with 0-3. But 3-0 is a good start. It's a good start, and that's all it is. So settle down with the whole MVP talk. We have no idea yet. Okay? That's not even our first game, but we'll go there anyway, since you brought it up. Vikings at Packers, each team's first divisional game. It looks like Jordan Love's going to be back. Mm-hmm. But I think Willis is 2-0 and he's 0-1.
Yeah. I think both teams are playing really well right now, considering circumstances. Obviously, J.J. McCarthy isn't the starting quarterback for the Vikings like everyone assumed. Now, could that be for the best? That's the question. I think this is a really hard game to pick. I think I'm strictly going to go with the home field advantage in the Packers. So I think regardless if they have Malik or Jordan Love, I think each quarterback brings something different to the table that makes the team thrive in a different way.
I'm going to say I don't want to say nobody thought that the Vikings could beat Houston, but nobody thought that the Vikings would beat Houston like they did.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't think anybody thought that C.J. Stroud would throw 2 interceptions in that game.
Mm-hmm.
On the reverse side, I think we could expect that Will Levis would throw 2 picks and, throw a touchdown to the other team. And to me, the difference is Brian Flores, defensive coordinator for the Vikings. What he does to confuse quarterbacks is just I saw a breakdown of it. I was watching the ESPN pregame show. Everything looks almost identical at pre-snap, right? And then at snap, everybody just goes whoop, right? Whoop, and just the linebackers are in, or they pull out, or it goes from cover 0 to Tampa 2, or it looks like Tampa 2, and all of a sudden it's cover 1 quarters. What he can do to confuse you and play that chess game is Belichick-ish, Belichick-like, and that is a headache for offenses to deal with. So until further notice, I think that wins, and I got the Vikings on that one.
Okay.
Why don't you give us our first AFC South matchup?
The first actual game that we were going to pick until I led us astray is the Jaguars in Houston playing the Texans. The last 2 years, the road team has won each matchup for this. So,
yeah.
Before that, go by it, then the Jaguars should
Houston pretty much dominated the match. I think all times 39-15. Houston is leading it just because the Jaguars were so terrible for so long. But the Jaguars are just reeling.
So terrible.
I don't know if they can do anything about it at this point. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, every time will just, I think, break your heart. I don't see a way around it. I don't think that their defense can contain Houston, and I am quite assured that the Jaguars cannot do anything to attack that defense or even run away from the Houston defense. So I'm going to say Houston wins it.
Yeah. I would want to say Jaguars just to kind of continue the streak here of the road team winning. But I really don't think that the Jaguars have it in them, especially with how they performed last night in their game against the Bills. It was not good at all for them. So I think I'm gonna have to take Houston here.
All right. We mentioned it earlier. The Chiefs are playing at the Chargers. This one is for the lead in the division. Herbert may be out, as we said, as he aggravated that high ankle sprain. And so if that's the case, I'm not sure who the quarterback is or who it's going to be.
I have no clue either.
Maybe they pull in somebody else. We've talked about Tannehill, but Tannehill wants a rest of the season kind of deal, and that's not going to happen with the Chargers. So,
yeah,
I don't know. What do you think?
I think that I'm going to choose the Chiefs until they lose. I think that's just kind of how it is at this point. They're 3-0, especially without Justin Herbert, and then they got the Zebras on their side too. So I don't know how the Chargers are going to stop it. I mean, great if they do like that. I'll be happy for them 100%. But I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I don't see how the Chargers can get it done without Justin Herbert. I mean, I don't think he is as elite as a lot of people think, but he's definitely better than anybody else that they would have, especially against the Chiefs. So I got the Chiefs on that one.
Yeah. Next game is the Bills in Baltimore playing the Ravens. Bills coming off a really big win, and Ravens coming off a big win as well.
Yeah. I mean, you beat the Cowboys in Dallas. That's a big win.
Dallas has lost twice in a row in Arlington.
Well, maybe disappointment comes early this year. The disappointment Cowboys will never fail to disappoint. So, well, and the Ravens did the right thing by relinquishing and unleashing Derrick Henry.
Oh, yeah, finally. I heard that he was getting touchdowns.
150 on the ground.
And it's not like Lamar didn't do anything either. Lamar still had like almost 26 fantasy points.
And Dak still threw for 3 touchdowns. But that's what happens when you lose the turnover battle. You lose by a field goal sometimes. But we're talking about the Ravens and the Bills, both front runners in the AFC. Ravens probably need this one more than the Bills, but the Bills are just on a roll. And until they're not, I got to think that maybe Josh Allen learned a few things about how to protect the ball over the offseason and has said, you know what? I'm fine with younger receivers. I don't need Gabe Davis. I don't need Stephon Diggs. Maybe I'm cool with this younger group of people, and let's do it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the Bills.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the Bills too. What he's doing right now with the younger guys on the team kind of reminds me a little bit of Patrick Mahomes, the way that he kind of – I mean, yes, there was a point whenever he was a younger player. He had Tyreek. He had Travis, who was a considered a veteran at the time. And other people, yes, he still has Travis, but he has guys like Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Pacheco, who are younger guys who are just entering the league. And now Patrick is the veteran. He's kind of taken him under his wing. I think Josh Allen's doing a very similar thing with the Bills receivers in Khalil Shakir, which is the number 1 receiver right now.
Yeah.
And Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid as well. I mean, he's an older guy, but he's still pretty solid.
He's second year. He's a rookie last year.
Okay,
yeah.
Then the younger guy as well. I mean, just a whole bunch of young guys on that team, and Josh Allen kind of holding it down.
Yeah.
So,
along with that defense. Yeah. Think of what's the linebacker's name? Escaping me now.
Which one?
For the Bills.
Von Miller?
Yes, that's the one. I was thinking Vontae Davis, but that wasn't right.
No, that's a Colts player.
Colts guy, R.I.P.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so you got those two guys, Josh Allen on the one side, Von Miller on the other, right? These two, and Von Miller, this might be one of his last shots to get a second one,
Yeah. First one was Peyton.
I know. I carried Peyton to one, and it's hard to say that you carried Peyton Manning, but I mean, the defense pretty much carried them that year.
I mean, hold on. Peyton Manning threw for 55 touchdowns.
Not that year.
Oh, you're right. Not that year. They lost to the Seahawks in the Super Bowl that year.
Yep. That was the year of the in the Super Bowl.
The Legion of Boom.
Yep. But I as soon as that ball went over his head, I know Peyton Manning enough to know that wasn't part of the plan, and he doesn't know how to adjust from now. So they lost right there.
Yep.
Early on in the game. Safety done. You up? I'm up.
You're up.
Titans at Dolphins, the rematch of the Titans upset late in the year last year. The Dolphins again have huge quarterback questions. Could Tyler Huntley be the answer? Come on, Mike McDaniel, do the right thing. He's a former Pro Bowler. Yeah, I mean, the Pro Bowl. He snuck in, but it's fine. The Dolphins, I've learned this. Saw this stat. They are the only team to not lead a single second of this season.
Wow.
They won a game. On a last second, zeros on the clock field goal.
Yep.
So they have not led for a single second.
Yeah. I think this is the game that changes that. I think the Titans are just very, very, very bad. They have not lost anyone. The Dolphins have not lost anyone on the defense. So I don't see how. I mean, the Titans' offense isn't anything special. I would say probably the best player is either D-Hop or Tony Pollard. They still have solid options at through everything, but they got to work through Will Levis, Mr. Mayonnaise. But I think that the Dolphins will get the quarterback issue solved this week, and they'll be able to spread the ball a lot more. Devon Achane, give it to him, give it to Tyreek. Don't try to shoot it deep like you can with Tua. Let Tyreek work off some yak stuff, because I feel like not only is he just a deep threat, he's a deep threat with his feet after the catch. So I think Dolphins are going to take this one.
I'm going to go. I was going to say if Tyler Huntley plays, they win. If Tyler Huntley doesn't play, they don't win. I did this last week, and I guessed wrong that somebody wasn't going to play, and then they ended up playing. So I'm going to say Tyler Huntley plays. I don't know if it's going to be quite pretty yet. I think that Mike McDaniel is going to have to adjust some of his offense and to what Tyler Huntley can do Tyler Huntley has a different kind of skill set than Tua. And so I think he's going to have to incorporate some of the rollouts and different things like that. And some of that quick game is not going to quite be as effective. Some of that backfield deception where we go one way, pitch it another real quick, things like that aren't going to be quite there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Tyler Huntley's going to play, and I think the Dolphins are going to win.
Okay. What if Tyler Huntley doesn't end up playing, but the Dolphins still win?
If Tyler, same rule applies. I called it, writing it down. But if Tyler Huntley doesn't play, the Titans will win. But just know that I said that here, and that's where it will stay. That what is actually written on our Google Doc is basically the letter of the law. And so I have written down Dolphins, and that's what I'm going to go with.
Okay. Then the last game that we have are the Seahawks in Detroit playing the Lions. It is the blue helmets, black uniforms. Finally get to see it on the field.
Yep. On Sunday Night Football, nonetheless. This is the game where we really get to see if the Seahawks are for real or not. This is the first for real team that doesn't have a major injury that they are going to play.
Yep.
I'm assuming that Ross St. Brown is okay. He's back, right? Like,
yeah.
He was out
he played last week.
Yeah.
He had a whole hook and ladder play with Jahmyr Gibbs. Kind of crazy.
Sam Laporta, I heard, is day-to-day.
He played last week as well. So I would say that everyone's healthy on the Lions.
They just lost a defensive tackle. Somebody, I don't know. I saw something in passing.
Okay.
No major. It's not like quarterback or whatever. So we get to see if the Seahawks are the Seahawks for real, and they're not. The Lions are going to win.
Yeah. I think the Lions are just going to be too much for the Seahawks to handle. I'd be happy if the Seahawks win because then, that's 4-0 for Nick. That's awesome for him. I don't dislike the Seahawks in any way. Although the one thing that still makes me a little angry is that they didn't run the ball on the 2-yard line. But that's in the past. I still think the Lions are going to get it done, though. I think just the combination of everyone that they have on offense, especially if everyone's healthy, it's going to be very, very dangerous for the Seahawks.
And look good, feel good, play good, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, we want to make sure that you are a part of this, so comment your picks before Thursday Night Football, and if you get them all right, which I highly doubt, but you never know until you play. We'll shout you out in next week's Unstable Pick 6. Okay? Well, that is it for today. Tomorrow we're going to be back with the update from the South, and then a little bit later this week we'll have our fantasy stable and our preview of the Colts and Steelers game.
Yep. This is Liam.
And this is Kevin.
Reminding you to stay all in.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.